Hi guys, another video from me, and this week we are going to be talking about the hunger and fullness scale. So, this is another tool that we use to help us move away from tracking and counting calories. So, when you start, it might be an idea that you track your calories and actually see what your portion sizes should be like, what kind of calories is in food, because sometimes that can be a little bit of a shocker to some people. Um, but we don't want you doing that forever, ideally. It is good to track at first. But obviously, once you've kind of got the hang of it, and once you want to start trusting your body a little bit more, there's no need to track your calories forever. Now, this can seem a little bit daunting for some people, but a way to start intuitively eating, which means kind of listening to your body instead of relying on a tool such as MyFitnessPal or whatever it is that you're using to track your calories, is just listening to your body. Now, I know some people would struggle with this initially, and it is a transitional period, just as much as it was to start tracking what you're eating or writing down what you're eating. It's another tool in the box for you to learn, but it is one that is going to help you with your progress further down the line and hopefully help you long term to kind of move away from a diet mindset, which counting calories and things can be seen as. I like counting my calories. There's nothing wrong if you do want to carry on counting calories and just staying in control, then that's absolutely fine. However, if you want to kind of come away from that and you really can't be bothered to do it anymore, which I can understand it does get annoying for some people, then the hunger and fullness scale is a really way to do that. So, hunger can be felt and experienced in a variety of different ways. So, it's a subjective feeling and can differ from person to person. So, contrary to popular belief, hunger is not only felt in the stomach. So, from some people, a growling stomach is one of the last signs of hunger that you feel. And that comes on only at a point where they're completely ravenous. And ideally, you want to be able to eat before it gets to that point. So, there's some other ways in which you may sense hunger, and that might be that your energy is low, you're sluggish, you feel tired, you've got trouble concentrating, you've got a headache, you're dizzy, you're unable to focus, you feel lightheaded, you're irritable, you're on edge, you're cranky. The classic hanger, as they say, because you're angry because you're hungry. I don't know whether anyone's heard of that, but it can happen. Or you're just uninterested in total. And then obviously you do have your stomach cues. So you have your growling or your rumbling, slight pain, like a hunger pang, an empty feeling or kind of a gnawing feeling. So obviously, them kind of symptoms can be things that we experience from other things. So it's easy for us to bat it off as being something else, especially when some of them for women, they can be menopausal symptoms. It could be when you're feeling a bit run down. It could be things like that. So this is really trying to tune into your body to listen to what it's telling you. So, like I say, it isn't something that happens overnight, and it is something that you do have to work on. So there is a scale that we can use, and I'm going to share my screen with you now so that you can see the scale that we would use and how to use it to your advantage. So if I share my screen, hopefully you should be able to see that now. So as you can see here, there's a scale from 0 to 10. So 0 to 2 is where you're overly hungry. So I'm going to read through them all. So 0 is starving. You're dizzy, you're lightheaded, you've got trouble concentrating or thinking clearly, and you feel like you might pass out. That's like extreme hunger. Then you've got 1, which is ravenous. So you're too hungry to really care what you eat. You're irritable, cranky, hunger on the cellular level. Okay. And then 2, still classed as overly hungry, is over hungry, very hungry. You feel like you've got to eat now and your stomach is empty. Okay. So noticing hunger. So number 3 would be hungry and you've got strong signals to eat. So eating will be pleasurable and this is the time to eat. You have a noticeable true stomach hunger. Now, I know a lot of people these days actually say that when they think about it, they don't actually have that true feeling of hunger anymore because they're that used to eating at certain times during the day. So it takes away that hunger because you're just eating for the sake of eating. That's another thing. And there's very rarely where your belly rumbles and you think, oh, actually, I haven't had anything for a while because you're that used to eating at certain times through the day or mindlessly snacking and things like that. So this is something that is a really big change. So number 4 is that you're slightly hungry. So you notice your first thoughts of food, but you can wait a bit. Your body is sending information about hunger. So this is a really good one for you to concentrate on. Obviously, when you're starting to be slightly hungry, that's when your body's starting to tell you, we might need some food in a bit. Number 5 is neutral. You're not hungry or full. So you're content and comfortable. You're neither hungry nor full, and you can't feel your stomach at all. Okay. So you're not feeling bloated, you're not feeling too full, you're not feeling empty, you're not feeling ravenous. It's just you're a normal pace, really. So 6 is slightly satisfied. So you can feel the food in your stomach, but there's still a little room. You're not really done with your meal. Okay. 7 is fully satisfied. So your stomach feels content. You know you've had enough. You can wait to eat again for about 4 hours. So this was another interesting thing that we discussed actually the other day. And it was an old way of dieting where we used to eat every 3 hours. And it kind of took the grazing away out of it because we knew that we were going to eat again in another 3 hours. So it stopped you picking as much in between because you knew something else was coming in an hour or so. So very rarely people would kind of go 3 to 4 hours just between a meal. It's normally a bit longer than that, especially if you go from your lunch to your tea time. So yeah, think about the timings of your food as well. So then we've got the bottom part, which is overly full. So 8, over full, a little uncomfortable. So we all know that feeling where your stomach's a bit full, you're ate a few bites past true satisfaction. So 9, you're stuffed. Your clothes feel very tight and you're very uncomfortable. I have definitely been in that position and it's horrible. 10, you're bursting, you're overstuffed, and you could not even have one more bite. And I know I've also been at that point as well. We are out a few weeks ago, and you go past it, it's absolutely ridiculous. So ideally, we need to be between kind of 3 and 7. Okay, that's where we need to be aiming for. So that's why we need to be listening to our body. So it is, like I say, it is a big change around to start listening to how your body reacts. And it is not feeling like you have to finish everything on your plate. There's a book that I was reading called The Joy of Half a Cookie, and that's all about mindfulness around your eating. So I know a lot of people will feel like if they've got the food on the plate, they have to eat it. But that's not the case. Just because it's on your plate, it doesn't mean that you have to eat it there and then. The same as if you had a cookie or a piece of cake. If you feel like you've got a piece of like a piece of cake, you may feel like you have to eat the whole piece of cake where you don't. In fact, if you actually checked in with yourself a little bit more often when you're eating, I think you would actually realize that you're probably at the point where you don't really need that much food. You're probably only eating it because it's on your plate. So that's a really good way to get started on kind of intuitive eating and listening to your body. I would say that's probably the best way to get used to doing it. So it's almost like don't wake up tomorrow and just think, right, well, I'm going to start intuitive eating and I'm going to use this scale. It might work, but I think it's a little bit too much too soon to take on. So how I would do it is start listening around meal times. So how hungry are you? Where would you think that you are on that scale? And then whilst you're eating, towards the end of your meal, just take a little bit of a break instead of wolfing it down as well. And also, mindful eating means not eating your TV, not eating your food in front of the TV. Actually, sitting down with your meal and concentrating on your meal makes a massive difference to how you respond with your body. So if you're distracted, you're running around after the kids, you're watching something on TV, You're not sitting and really concentrating on the food that you're eating. It's mindless eating. So you will just hoover, windmill the food into you. You're not listening to what you're doing. You're completely distracted. One, sometimes you won't even feel like you've had anything to eat. And two, you could feel full, not really checking in on yourself, feeling how you feel. You might start snacking a little bit later because you don't feel like you've had anything because you've not sat down and had your meal. So that's another really important practice to put into place if this is something that you wanted to take on. So sit down with your meals, concentrate on your meal. Don't be on your phone. Don't be watching the TV. I can understand that kids are a distraction when you're eating. I can't help that as much as, try and have some time for yourself when you're eating and listen to your body. If you're starting to think to yourself, actually, I'm pretty full, like, I don't really feel like I need to finish everything on the plate, then that's listening to your body and that's being true to yourself. Just because you've got it on the plate doesn't mean that you need to finish it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this hunger and fullness scale onto your email so that you can have it yourself to have a look at. And if it's something that you wanted to do, you can phase off whatever you're doing at the moment. You don't have to all of a sudden take this on as a way of eating. So, for example, if you were calorie counting at the moment, try and only calorie count your tea instead or your dinner, depending on where you are in the country. So, only track that. So, use your hunger and fullness scale for your breakfast and your lunch, and then just make sure that your tea is within your calories. Or do it the other way around if you wanted to track your breakfast. Most people eat the same things for breakfast, so roughly. So just start listening to your body more with what you're eating. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you give it a go. Let me know if you've got any questions. As always, we are here to help. And like I say, I will attach the hunger and fullness scale that I've just shown you onto the email so you can print it out. Keep it somewhere that you can see and something that you can reference to all the time. But like I say, if you have any questions, then just let us know. So enjoy the rest of your day and we will check in with you soon.